Most advice on becoming a millionaire sets you up to fail because it's got you focusing on the wrong thing. In this video, I'm going to share 4 habits that helped me naturally go from no business to millionaire entrepreneur within just 4 years, starting with a seemingly counterproductive one. In my first few years, every dollar I made went back into the business. The point is not to tell you to do the same, but the principle behind it. I started my current business because I didn't want anyone to have to go through what I had to in my first online business, when I had no idea what I was doing and nowhere to go for help. Instead of focusing on keeping the most profit for myself, my focus was on building the best business I could with the best products. As a result, I was able to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to basically learn. For example, let's say you have 1,000 people watching your webinar. You are gonna get a lot of feedback on what's working and what's not. The problem is, most new businesses need a long time to get to those 1,000 people. But what if you could invest to speed that process up? Like investing in paid ads to get more people faster. Now, what might have taken you years, you've leapfrogged in just a few months. High five to that. But be careful, because this can be taken to an extreme. After over 3 years of doing this, I started resenting my business a little because it was making all this money, but I wasn't seeing much of it. So you've got to figure out your balance. But the takeaway is, when you care about something more than the money, you're going to be naturally motivated to do things that actually help you get to becoming a millionaire faster. And that's true even if it feels like things are going so slowly for you right now. But the good news is, there is something you can do to significantly speed up your progress. You might find it hard to believe if you didn't know me and my business before these last few years, but I am fine with putting out ugly, imperfect work. Let's just call it that. Because imperfection does not have to be a bad thing. The perfect example is the study done by researcher Andrew Hill, who gave 2 sets of people the same task. One group was all perfectionists. The other group wasn't. But there was a catch, because the task he gave them was actually impossible to accomplish. Guess which group gave up faster and felt super unhappy at the end of it? It's the same reason why Facebook was so successful early on. Their motto was literally, move fast and break things. That mindset of knowing you're gonna be imperfect can mean the difference between you making millions or not. If I hadn't done my first live streams on my webcam in my poorly lit, dingy apartment, I wouldn't be here with you today sharing these much higher quality videos. Because you don't know what you don't know, and there's only one way to improve. Like one of my biggest learning moments. During one of my first program launches, I promised a bonus if you purchased early. But as I saw students going through the program, I realized the bonus was a lot more helpful than I thought. So I told everyone I was adding it as a regular part of the program moving forward. It didn't even occur to me that anyone would care. But a few people complained, I thought this was a bonus. It isn't fair that everyone gets it in the future. Honestly, at first, I was upset. People were getting everything I'd promised, and I was just trying to do right by future clients. But it actually taught me something super valuable that has now become a core part of my reputation and is a huge reason why my clients buy from me. Let people know exactly what to expect. Don't deviate from it. But I never would have learned that if I'd been too busy trying to get things perfect. Your mistakes are just learning opportunities that want to help you grow faster. But you're never going to be able to get those learnings if you're too afraid to break things. But it's not just fear that can keep you stuck. Honestly, I didn't even realize how important this 3rd habit was until I was looking back to decide the top things to share with you. Because not many people talk about it. But the truth is, you're probably not going on this journey alone. For example, even though it was me building the business, my husband Steven played a key role. The first year after the business crossed 7 figures, he's hearing me talk about all these big numbers, but we are still living in a Bronx apartment full of cockroaches. Because all that money is going back into the business. I didn't even think to talk about it with him. But thankfully, instead of getting frustrated, Steven's attitude was, do what you gotta do. Aside from a lapse in judgment my second year, where I lost it, I went on a huge shopping spree, because I'm human. We lived frugally on mostly just his salary for the next few years. But that's how I was able to focus on growing the business faster. And that support is the #1 reason we can now live in our dream apartment, no bugs. The point is, with the right partner, you're in it together. Because when you succeed, you will both benefit. But a lot of the time, that can mean making short-term sacrifices to be able to get to those long-term wins. Without being on the same page, your partner's resentment could drain your focus, and you might not be able to do what you need to get to where you both want to be. But even when you have everything you need to focus, that's when you have to be extra careful, because it can backfire. It's the reason one of the most well-known actors in the world almost didn't make it. Early in his career, Bryan Cranston was auditioning all over town, but he just was not getting any parts. But then, his coach gave him 6 words that changed everything. After listening to that advice, Cranston started approaching each audition as not an attempt to get something, but to give something, a performance. It caused him to start focusing more on his craft, which had a huge transformative effect. He stopped obsessing about the outcome of the audition, which had also kept him from taking risks because he was so afraid of losing a potential gig. But after this shift, he fell in love with his craft, improved his acting skills, and soon after, he got his role in Malcolm in the Middle. And then his career-transforming role in Breaking Bad.
Say my name.
The 6 words his coach gave him were, focus on process rather than outcome. And those 6 words can help your finances take off too. Because if you're running your business with an expectation of, I'm gonna make $1 million by the end of the year, you might start looking for shortcuts to get you there. It's actually why Mark Zuckerberg ended up changing Facebook's motto from move fast and break things, even though it helped them get off the ground early on, to move fast with stable infrastructure. Because to grow big and fast in the long run, you've got to have a stable foundation. That's actually why I never purposefully set a goal like, I'm gonna make $1 million by a certain age. And I'm convinced that's the reason why, much sooner than we thought possible, one day Steven and I pulled up our accounts and realized, oh, we have over $1 million in assets. But this also doesn't mean to just sit around and wait for it to happen. It's the same idea as getting a 6-pack. You can't cheat your way to abs. The only way to get them is to work out and eat well for a long time. But then, one day, boom, hello hottie. For Bryan Cranston, he had to first slow down and work on his acting craft before he could have the kind of breakthrough most actors can only dream of. For us entrepreneurs, the equivalent is taking the time to build the systems, team, product, and skills that will allow you to grow sustainably and scalably. But you gotta get yourself in the game first. The good news is, there is a simple way to get started now using what you already know. You'll see how in this next video, where we go over 5 ways you can build a business making $10K per month this year.